Hey YouTube, Common Collector here, and today I've got a very exciting deck profile for you guys because today we just got the new ban list. I wanted to get this profile out to you guys as soon as possible, as soon as I saw how Ben 10 shifted on the ban list, getting moved from limited to semi-limited, which was really cool, really helps out the deck a little bit to be able to do some really cool combos, which I will be getting to. Also, I do have a really cool new concept for how to potentially Scythe lock your opponent out of the extra deck. We did lose DPE for this deck, kind of, because we don't have the access to the Anaconda, and with how Drytrons can sometimes brick, it just didn't seem comfortable enough to be able to play DPE in this build. So, without any further ado, let's get on into the deck profile, this DPE-less deck profile. But if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe if you guys haven't already. I would really appreciate that. And let's get on into this. So we are, of course, playing our 3 copies of Alpha to be able to search for our ritual monsters. I'm going to kind of breeze through some of the, some of the simple stuff really quickly, just because everyone kind of knows how Drytron plays now. We have our 3 copies of Zeta, so we can search for our ritual spell. 3 copies of Gamma. I do play my Drytron package a little bit differently for those of you guys who remember. I do play 2 copies of the Delta and then 1 copy of the Beta Rostaban, and Beta Rostaban's effect actually is, is actually applicable in this build, which is funny enough now that I have moved on to the Chaos Valkyria. So if you end up banishing like your Alpha or one of the Drytrons for the Chaos Valkyria because they are light targets, then you can actually reset it back into the graveyard with your Beta Rostaban, which is actually just kind of funny. But overall, Rostaban is just another extra name, which is really cool, just to be able to have that additional name to be able to get off maybe an additional Ben 10 effect if you still have a copy of Ben 10 in your hand or something, or if you just need to get into that extra link material to be able to, link spam to go into some other really cool plays. Overall, I just really like him. There's a lot of times if you open up 3 Drytron names, so if you have like Delta, Alpha, and then like a Drytron Nova, which then can get you your Zeta, you can always do your plays to get into your Fafnir, and then Fafnir can then dump to get into your to dump whatever extra Drytron name you need. So if you still need your Gamma to hit the graveyard, then you can get that in the graveyard. And then there's always the chance that off of like the Delta or something, you're going to end up maybe even drawing into another Drytron card. So that's where like the Beta can help. If you end up drawing into something like the Cyber Emergency or something, and you have a search, then while searching for any of these guys doesn't really matter. So you have that Beta as like that 5th option, which I really like having that in the deck. Then we have our 3 copies of Diviner of the Herald, then getting on into the aforementioned Scythe for the Scythe lock, 1 copy of Lancia. I still just really like playing Lancia in Drytron. It's won me a lot of games going against stuff like Eldritch, Tri-Brigade, as well as Dinos. Just being able to stop them from banishing is really, really big. Going on into our 1 Chaos Valkyria. Shoutouts to those of you guys who have seen the my Toon Chaos opening back probably about 2 years ago now when Toon Chaos came out, and I opened up a ton of collector's rares in just 2 boxes of Toon Chaos. This is the very same Chaos Valkyria from those videos. We have then the 1 copy of Herald of the Orange Light. I was thinking this might be the time to finally cut this card since we don't have Ava and stuff, but this card is still so nice for like when your hands do start to fill up just a little bit and then you need something, or it's just always still discard fodder for if you need something for like Nightmare Unicorn or something there. But yeah, overall, I just still like playing the 1 copy of the Orange Light. Then getting on into our 2 copies, oh, that feels so good to say, 2 copies of the Cyber Angel Benton. Being able to play this at 2 is really, really big. It's really cool because you can use the first Benton, use that to get into your Megalith combos, and then once the Megalith combos are going, then your Fool can always add back the Benton, and then you use your Benton, your first Benton to get into your second one, and then the second Benton helps you to get into some other cool plays, which is really cool. 1 copy of Ida 10. I know that a lot of people are starting to cut this, but the reason why I am playing the Ida 10 is because I do still just like to get into that ritual spell as much as possible, and then plus for doing some nice rank 6 plays. It does also come up for this deck to do a lot of rank 6 plays because I do have basically my secret weapon to get into the the artifact Scythe, wherever I had put that. The artifact Scythe, to get into that, is with the Dragonlark Pyron, so we do need as many level 6s as we can get into, which is fairly easy for this deck. Then we have our 1 copy of Cyber Angel Natasha. Probably, I mean, you can't say that it's the best of the Cyber Angels because that's actually Ben 10, but I mean, still just an amazing card. So good. Then getting on into the newly added 2 copies of Ophiel. I was always playing this at 1, but then I saw a lot of other profiles, people are adding this up to 2, which is actually really good. You go into the first Ophiel, and then Ophiel's first effect is not a hard once per turn. So you go Ophiel into Fool, and then you get out the Fool to go into the second Ophiel, and then that second Ophiel is then going to be able to get you just another body to be able to do some link plays. Then we're doing 2 copies of Fool, so basically your 2 Ophiels, always search for your 2 Fools. And then we have our 1 copy of the Bethor. Bethor is just too good not to play because he can end up popping like 5 cards at once, depending on how many rituals you have in the graveyard. And then our 1 copy of the Draconids for the last of the Drytron monsters, in the main deck at least. Then we have our 3 copies of the Drytron Nova, just being able to, you know, basically special summon out any of the Drytrons, whatever name you need is really, really good. Then getting on into our 2 copies of the Meteonis Drytron. I will still always like playing 2 copies of this because if your opponent just has a DD Crow or something that's going to banish stuff going to the graveyard or in the graveyard, then it is basically just an auto lose. So overall, 2 copies of the Meteonis Drytron, I will always like playing that. Then the 1 copy of the Drytron Fafnir, and then going on into 3 copies of Cyber Emergency just for those additional names. Like I said, there's a lot of times where you're going to draw like a Cyber Emergency, or you're going to draw that Drytron Nova off of the effect of your Delta or something, anytime that you're going to be getting a draw effect or something, and then all of a sudden you're going to be going, okay, I have all 4 of my names. That's where having that Beta Rastamon is actually kind of nice, because then you get that extra body on field. You might end up getting an additional Ben 10 tribute. It's actually just really, really nice. Then we're going on into our 3 copies of Droplet. This could sort of change around. I'm seeing a lot of people playing 2 of this and then 2 Triple Tactics Talents. That's fine if you guys want to. I just don't like Triple Tactics Talents just for the main purpose of, like, if your opponent ends up hitting you with Droll, then Triple Tactics just is a lot less good, because all you can do is spin something out of your opponent's hand, which is still good. But then getting on into the last card is 1 copy of Called by the Grave. This is a 42 card build. But I am thinking of maybe teasing around with dropping 1 Droplet and then maybe taking out another card, or just playing it at 43 and putting in 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talents, because it does seem actually really nice. So overall, there's a lot of flexibility. The main thing that I just want to get this profile out for, just sort of as a pilot or like as a rough draft, is how to still be able to do Scythe locks without DPE and stuff like that, and just sort of to help people sort of get their heads around how to possibly play Drytrons in this upcoming format now that we have the new ban list. So let's get on into the extra deck. So for the extra, we have our 2 copies of the Mu Beta Fafnir. Honestly, I'm considering bumping this up to 3. I heard a lot of people back in the day talking, oh, I wish I could play Fafnir at 3, and I thought that they were crazy. And now, with just how much this deck can span, with having the 2 Ben 10s, and then having on it, like I said, having like the 2 ritual spells, having your extra copy of the beta and all that stuff, it actually does come up where you're almost like, hey, I could really use a 3rd beta Fafnir. So then getting on into our 1 copy of Abyss Dweller. Abyss Dweller comes in handy with your Megalith Ophiel as well as your Chaos Valkyria. That's basically why you're playing the Chaos Valkyria. Then we have our Beatrice, and then, oh my gosh, the spice of the deck. I got to give a little bit of a shout out to my buddy Israel, who's also like my tech guy for my Twitch streams and stuff like that. But yeah, he really helped get me onto this because he plays this in Virtual World, and I wanted to test this out with Scythe, because with this card, it just requires 2 level 6 monsters, and then cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects when a monster other than this card is on the field that was special summoned from the graveyard. So if your opponent has their DPE and stuff out, then this card can't get destroyed by card effects or by battle, as long as they had that DPE out if it was special summoned from the graveyard. Then also with this card, During the standby phase, you can detach material from this card, then target one level 5 or lower monster in your graveyard and special summon it, and you can only use this effect once per turn. So during your opponent's standby phase, then you can basically just detach material and resurrect your Scythe, and then Scythe will get off its effect in order to be able to lock your opponent out of the extra deck. Moving on then, we are playing our one copy of the Downer Magician along with our one copy of Zeus. This is actually a really interesting change of how this deck has actually developed, because this always used to be a big link heavy deck actually in the extra deck, and now it's actually moving into a lot more of a XZs sort of centric deck, so it's really cool just to sort of see those changes. And now Zeus is actually even more better. You can play Zeus on top of like using your Mu Beta Fafnir along with the Downer Magician, ends up giving it sometimes 4 materials, which allows your Zeus to be able to use use its effect twice, which is really cool. So overall now Zeus is even more powerful in Drytron, especially with this particular build. Then getting on into our diviner targets, we have our one copy of Natis and our one copy of the Herald of the Arclight. And then lastly, getting on into our Baron de Fleur, which is our card that we're going to be generally synchro summoning with with our diviner, along with our Megalith Ophiel. Then getting on into the links, we have our one copy of Link Karibo, one IP Masquerena, one Nightmare Unicorn, one Apollousa Bow of the Goddess, and then finally one copy of Borrelsword Dragon. Now that the deck is a little bit less link-centric, now I am moving on to the Borrelsword instead of Axis Code Talker. It feels really strange because Axis Code Talker was a really big way to help close out games with this deck, but overall, Borrelsword can sort of do the same thing. You're just not going to be able to destroy as many cards on the field, but you still have your Megalith package to be able to help to destroy some stuff. So now I'm going to go in through a really quick combo, hopefully to just sort of explain how all of these cards work in tandem, just sort of how Beatrice can help you to get your Scythe on into the graveyard so you can revive it with the Dragon Lark, or some other really cool techs like possibly Baron de Fleur. Alright guys, so we're going to do this little bitty combo here, just sort of trying to do a test hand of seeing what the deck can do. The main end board that I'm generally trying to end on here is going to be an IP Masquerena to be able to go into an Apollousa during our opponent's turn, along with our Baron de Fleur, obviously. And then also along with that, we want to try to get into an Abyss Dweller, and if we can manage it, getting on into our Dragon Lark in order to Scythe lock our opponent with our Scythe obviously in the graveyard. So we're starting off here, wow, very strong. We've got our Nova, Alpha, Zeta, getting into a Meteonus Drytron. That's a little bit of a brick, but that's kind of why I like playing the 2 copies in the deck. That way, if I have the Zeta, and I already have the Meteonus Drytron, that I can still search for one in the deck. So this is a very strong hand. This is all Drytron names, which is crazy. If you can open up all Drytron names, that means that you are comboing hard. Maybe the only way that this would be better is if we just opened up with a Ben 10 to start off with. And again, this is the reason, if we open up 4 Drytron names, this is the reason why I like playing that Beta Rastaban. So we are, and then actually, this isn't actually that good because our Drytron Fafnir can only search for these 2 cards because it only searches for a spell or trap. So it's going to be a little bit suboptimal, but we're just going to search for an extra copy of Nova, just sort of for our follow-up on the next turn. So we're going to have a dead copy of Nova the whole time, but that's totally fine. We basically have our main combo here, though, which is these 2. So we're going to go for our Drytron Nova starting out and get our Gamma out onto the field. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to activate our Alpha's effect to pitch the Zeta to the graveyard, and we are going to go for our Alpha here. Then with the Alpha, we are going to search for our Cyber Angel Ben 10, which is now at 2 copies per deck, which is absolutely crazy. I'll try to shuffle my camera back here a little bit so y'all can see a little bit better. We're going to then use our Zeta to pitch our Ben 10. And then along with that, Zeta is going to go and he's going to pick up our second copy of our ritual spell. So we now have 2 ritual spells, being able to just sort of ritual summon as many things as we want. Then Ben 10 is going to go off. This is where we want to get off our search to go into our Diviner. Diviner is how we want to get... I might have misspoke during the deck profile. I might have said that the Ben 10 is supposed to search for the Ophiel, but it's supposed to search for the Diviner, and then Diviner gets us into Ophiel. So I might have misspoke there. I just realized that. So now we're going to go on for our Diviner there and go ahead and we are going to pitch our Herald of the Arclight right there. Another thing that you could also sort of switch around would be saving the Drytron Nova for later in case your opponent had Nibiru. We really didn't need to use the Nova at this point, but it was just still sort of nice to get that going. Or we could have waited to use the Zeta as well a little bit later, but still, we're just going to keep going. So our Herald of the Arclight is going to search for our Ophiel here. Then we can go ahead and use our Meteonis Drytron in order to, or actually, sorry, we're not going to use Drytron yet. We're going to take these, guys here, and we are going to take them into our first copy of our Mu Beta Fafnir. Then we'll be taking our Meteonis Drytron in order to take off one of the materials here. Generally, we want to get rid of whatever monster's effect we have not used yet, so we're going to get rid of our Gamma. And then we are going to take out our Fafnir there to be able to get our Ophiel out onto the field. Then just another thing that we can do is we can use our Meteonis Drytron to reduce the attack of one of these by 1,000. We'll just reduce the beta to bring the Meteonis Drytron back into our hand. I like to just do that as early as possible. That way I don't forget to have a ritual spell in hand or a ritual monster when I do my effect of the beta or the delta right away. Also, I forgot when we summoned the Fafnir. I'm sure everyone's screaming in the comment section. I did forget to send off of the delta. Sorry, it is like 3 in the morning, and I have been playtesting this all day just so I can make sure to get out the proper deck profile for all you guys. Just because I know people are screaming at the bits for how they can play Drytrons now. Now off of the Ophiel, when that got summoned, we are going to be able to search for our copy of Fool, which is really amazing just to be able to get into Fool so we can get into more combos with our Ben 10. Like I said, our first Ben 10 search needs to go for our Diviner, then to get into the Ophiel, and then after that, then the Ben 10 can just sort of go off to do whatever fairy searches you need. Now what we want to do is we want to get into that Baron de Fleur combo so that we can have that Omni Negate in case our opponent is threatening a Nibiru. So they either needed to Nibiru here, and then we have all of this extra extension in the hand, or they need to just sort of eat it, and then now they can waste our Baron de Fleur's Omni Negate. So continuing on here, we're going to go ahead and remove that last material off of here by using our Meteonis Drytron in order to get out our Fool. Fool will then go ahead and add our Ben 10 back to our hand and then make this a level 6. That is very important for later. Then we are going to go ahead and we can actually activate our Gamma's effect in Graveyard along with pulling our Zeta out of the grave. So we are going to take, we're going to take our, actually maybe, so we'll take our Alpha here. We will link him away for a Link, oh no, we don't want to even go for Link Karibo because otherwise then we can't go for IP Masquerena. So we're actually just going to take our Mu Beta Fafnir and the Alpha to go into our IP Masquerena. So we'll just take those just to help clear up the board a little bit. We'll then get rid of our Ben 10, or yeah, we'll pitch the Ben 10 out of our hand for the Gamma. Gamma, pitch the Ben 10, and then we'll revive our Delta or our Zeta out of the graveyard. Then we can get off our Ben 10 effect, being able to go into to get our Scythe, which is very, very important here. Or actually, instead of the Scythe, we're going to be going for our second copy of Ben 10. Sorry about that. So second copy of Ben 10, really important to be able to get that just so we can make sure that we get as much hand advantage as we can here. We'll then go ahead and activate our Fool's effect to pitch the Ben 10 out of our hand, and then we are able to special summon out our second copy of the Ophiel out of the deck, which is just insane. We are getting this deck so thin so very quick, so when this gets special summoned, we're able to add another copy of Fool to our hand, which is just crazy that this is not a hard ones per turn on the first effect. Then our Ben 10 is going to go off, and this is where we want to search for our copy of the... our copy of Chaos Valkyria. It doesn't really matter if you go for this or the Scythe right now, but I just kind of want to go for that just to sort of clear up the field a little bit. And so at this point here, this is actually where we sort of, where I can sort of point out the importance of having the Cyber Angel Ida 10 in the deck. So we've already used the Meteonis Drytron, and we only have one more ritual summon here in the deck, or in the hand. So what we are going to do here is we are going to go ahead and I believe, so we have our Delta yet. This is probably the point where we need to either use Delta or actually we can take these two for our second copy of the Mu Beta Fafnir. Like I said, I'm almost considering needing to put in a third copy of the Fafnir just so that we do have that third copy for on our next turn in case we need it. But what we can end up doing here now that we have this zone open is we can go into our Chaos Valkyria by banishing a Drytron name. So we're just going to banish our Mu Beta Fafnir right there. That's not really that important anymore in the graveyard, so we'll banish him, and then we are able to take these two in order to overlay for our copy of Abyss Dweller. So now we have an Omni Negate on the field as well as Abyss Dweller to be able to negate our opponent's shenanigans in the graveyard. Now we're going to go ahead and we are going to activate our Meteonus Drytron in order to detach off of the Fafnir once again, and we are going to revive our Cyber Angel Ben 10 one more time. So off of the Ben 10 on the field now, we can go ahead and use our copy of the, where is he at? We have our Delta still in the graveyard. So we are going to use Delta to pop the Ben 10 and then special summon him out onto the field. This is now going to allow us to draw one card because we do still have a ritual in the hand. So we'll draw one off the top. Oh, okay. So that's pretty good. Okay, yeah, Scythe is really good because now we don't need to search for it. And now Ben 10, yeah, this is actually perfect. So Ben 10 is going to allow us to pick up our copy of Cyber Angel Ida 10 possibly. We are going to check here one more time for what else we could possibly want. Yeah, we are going to go for our Ida 10 right here. I actually did sort of misplay there possibly. I think I might have missed something right there. So actually, what we wanted to do here is, because this is treated as a level 6, we wanted to get another level 6 out onto the field, along with, you know, I guess I couldn't have imagined that off of our Delta right there that we would have drawn the Scythe. So actually, if I would have played that differently and we would have not popped there, so if we would have just gone Ben 10 on the field and then use Delta to pop the Fool in hand, just pop that, and then we drew into the Scythe. The only reason why we weren't actually able to get into this combo fully is because we sort of had a couple bricky cards with the Nova and stuff, but basically the way that this needed to go was, yeah, Ben 10 on field, take these two, go into the Dragon Lark, and then also off of this, then off of the Delta was when we drew the Scythe. So actually this would have been the more optimal way to play it. Actually, we just sort of lucked our way into that. So what we would do here, sort of the combo that I've come up with, is we then set our Scythe onto our field, use our Baron DeFleur's once per turn effect to be able to pop a card on the field. We pop our Scythe, it hits the graveyard. We don't special summon it or anything. We're not able to do that. But then also we need to clear up our field a little bit because this the IP Masquerena only works during our opponent's main phase. So we do need to sort of clear things up here a bit. So we're going to take these three cards right here. This will take us into our Appaloosa right here for a 3-negate Appaloosa. Then during our opponent's standby phase, we have a lot going on. So we're able to detach off of the Abyss Dweller. We'll detach the Chaos Valkyria to make it so our opponent can't do any graveyardy effects. But we are still going to be doing plenty of our graveyard effects, so we will detach off of our Dragonlark Perrin. We will get our Ben 10 back into the graveyard, just in case it ever comes up. So we detach off of that during our opponent's standby phase, and then we are able to revive back the artifact Scythe. Now with the Scythe hitting the field, we are able to declare, because it is our opponent's turn, we're able to declare its effect, and now our opponent is now locked out of the extra deck. So they're locked out of the extra deck there, they're locked out of the graveyard, and then we have our Omni Negate, and then 3 different monster negates. So overall, very, very impactful. This board, you know, overall you don't need the Scythe. It's basically if you can extend enough to get into the Scythe, then you're able to do that. Also, I might have just sort of missed a couple things along the way. I'm not, you know, maybe there's other people who can sort of point out better, more optimal routes, but I think I might have done the correct route there to get there. We actually just sort of lucked right in there, I'll be honest, to be able to get into the Scythe. But yeah, generally, if you can find yourself into drawing a Ben 10 in your opening hand or something, you can generally easily get into the Scythe. So overall, just wanted to show off this combo here. I hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. Let me know down in the comments what you guys are playing for Drytrons. If you guys are playing branded Drytron, if you guys are playing, if you're still playing the DPE package, if you're playing the Scythe package, what you guys are all doing. So let me know down in the comments below. Let me know what you guys thought about this profile. Definitely hit the subscribe button if you guys haven't already, and we'll catch you guys for the next video. Peace.